All right, dude. So, groups, you are like the king of them. You've been doing it longer than you and Flip have been doing it since. I mean, of course, there have been Facebook groups, but actually monetizing them, you guys have been doing it for so long and doing it so well with Group Juice and now the one community OS. Like,
Yep.
I would love to just talk more about that kind of stuff and how that works for you, what you do in there.
Yep. Yeah. I will say it's been not. Yeah, I'm the king. I'm the category king. No. uh, it's been really fun, fascinating to watch the market evolve or shift. So I'll just give you guys a little bit of context and background. Flip and myself, we have been very focused on community since 2021, and at the time there was really only one other program that really taught communities, at least to the degree of what we did. Now, I will say a lot of products and a lot of offers do talk about groups. You get a group as a bonus, you get a group as, oh, you can join our mastermind community and all that stuff. The key difference of how we look at groups, I look at communities, is the community is the mechanism, the community is the model. It is potentially the system that we deploy, and everything kind of centers around that. But it's been funny to watch the market evolve because, like I was just saying, when I first started teaching groups, there was only one other program. Or like when we launched Group Juice, there was only one other program, Clients and Community, and they taught ads in community. They taught ads to community, to calls, and then we taught content to workshops, to docs inside of groups. So it's a bit of a distinction. So I do feel kind of cliche saying that I teach community right now because it's ever since Hermosi invested in school, communities are the place to be, the hottest topic in the market. So um, the biggest thing that I see, I'll kind of riff on some mistakes that I see a lot of community owners making and that I've
Yeah.
personally made in the past. First and foremost is we have to start getting crystal clear on like endpoint for your groups. There needs to be a tangible outcome or a tangible result that your group promises. Uh, and ideally, it has to end where your offer starts. So, what I potentially mean by this is like, let's say you want to come into a coaching business, right? You want to start a coaching business and you want to help new moms lose baby fat or baby weight, right? That they put on. So, you want to run this coaching program where you work with new moms. If I'm using my community to qualify or get people to the point of needing my offer, I need to use my community to get them a result that would make the transition into my actual paid coaching program as easy as possible. Now, the biggest mistake I see a lot of group owners making is we kind of just treat it as like this dump of content, this value dump. There's really big creators in the market right now who will talk about, just give as much stuff away as humanly possible, give away all your best IP away for free, which can be helpful to some degree. But we have to think a little intentionally with the actual solution that your community provides. Uh, and this will make your community easier to grow because you have a very crystal clear promise. You have a very crystal clear pain that you could potentially remove, right? Like as an example, James could have a community that's like, hey, I help you, fix your landing page and increase ROI by X number of dollars on ad spend. And then the free community is that's the actual tangible result. And then it's like, cool, you come into my group, you achieve this result. And then now it's like, okay, well, we accomplished this. The offer starts after that. The next problem would potentially be the offer. Um, that's the number one thing that I usually look at with any of our clients is like, okay, what is the actual group? What is the outcome? And we don't want to be vague. We don't want to be like, join my group so you can make money online. Like, what does that even mean? How? What is the process? What is the mechanism? Uh, what is the common enemy that you could potentially create? And I'm not saying to go attack people, attack systems, or attack polarizing ways that you do business and potentially your the industry standard in your space, and then your community is like the contrast to that. Like I was saying, we had group juice, and then we had clients community. They did it with ads. We did it a different way. That's like same principles, use a group, but two different mechanisms, right? Two different plans and pathways to get to like this a similar outcome or a similar transformation. Um, so
So
that's
I
the
got a
first thing.
question for you.
Yep.
So I get what I totally agree with you that yeah, so many people in the early days especially they would if they were selling a product, they would throw in a group as a bonus, as a value add, that they necessarily weren't in a whole lot. It was more just so those students could talk to each other, kind of
Yep.
thing. Um, and I guess, and there is some value in that, but there's certainly more value in having some kind of leader actually in the group moving towards something. What are your thoughts on like a group around a specific mission?
100%.
Like there'll be whole groups around like the fire movement, or a certain diet. Like there'll be keto groups and those kinds of things. So it's not necessarily leading them up to the next thing, but the way I see it, in my opinion, those kind of groups do at least leave room that you can make potentially multiple offers in from
Yep.
different ways of doing things like that. Or you try to go specifically for this group is about losing your first 5 pounds with keto, and then your offer after that would be lose the next 10, 20 pounds. Keep doing what you're doing kind of thing with a group coaching or our coaching or something like that. Is that a distinction you make, or what do you think?
You bring up a really good point because I think it's a mixture of both, right? So not to be like confusing, I think we need to have like a narrow entryway for your group, at least on the front of it, at least in the front facing, the about page, the description, the way that you can talk about your community, because it's going to be very easy for you to then market that group because you have a very specific thing that you can reference. Now, the thing with a group is you can have multiples of things inside of that group. Like if I let's say I have a workshop that helps you write an offer, I have a workshop that helps you create content, I have a workshop that helps you do A, B, and C, and they're all inside of this community. I can then go cast out, little sound bites or little pieces of content publicly that are like very targeted. Hey, here's an offer, especially if you guys are running like paid ads, right? Then we have one campaign that's all around offer creation, drives them back to that one group. Then we have one campaign that's all about content creation, drives them back to that one group. But the more specific you guys could potentially get with like a transformation or outcome or a pain when they're coming into the group, it's just going to make it a lot easier to stand out as well. It's like the difference between like join my AI group where I teach you how to be cool with AI, and it's like, hey, I help you make your first dollar online using Claude Code and whatever, right? It's like just creating a little bit of a distinction between I help people make money online with school groups, right? I help people grow their school communities by 100 members and add an extra 5 clients a month using this three-step process. So that's kind of what I mean by like getting narrow and specific into like the promise of the group, not like a generalist community. That's not to say you can't cover multiples of different things. Um, and the other thing too, like you brought up, 100%, I think uh, any really successful business owner online creates some type of movement, some type of deeper movement, bigger than their products, bigger than like what is the overall mission or the goal that you guys are all chasing together. And I think this is what actually really ends up fostering real culture and real community is like whether it's tactics aside, the strategy aside, it's like what is this common thing that we're either against, this common way of things we're against, um, like what is this common goal that we're all on the same path towards, what is a belief or something that we're all like in line with or harmony, I guess you could say. um so yeah, I think having some type of bigger mission is also another part of it. Trying to create a movement, and it's hard to foster. That's the one thing I will say. It is hard to engineer, and I don't like encouraging people to do parts of it because it can come across like fake at times. If it's like, hey, I'm giving back half of my, I'm giving 10% of my income to this, nonprofit or whatever, and then come to find out it's like their own nonprofit. But like, we
Right.
need some type of bigger thing that your community can actually emotionally buy into as well, right? So one of the easiest ways that you guys can do this is us versus them effect, right? And I'm not saying you guys should go be contrarian or polarizing for the sake of being polarizing, but it is one of the easiest ways to get that emotional buy-in from your audience is like we're doing the same goal it's like as the example James has made keto. It's like, hey, we are a tribe of people who are losing weight and building our bodies with keto, and anybody who eats carbs is crazy. We're creating that divide, that rift. So it's like this is us and this is them. And it's in everything in our society. You look at politics, look at religion, look at sports teams. It's, you're creating that deep belief in us versus them effect, right? And you can do that in business. You can do that without being overly negative or toxic either. That's not what I'm encouraging anybody to do. Um, but yeah, I think try to conceptualize those things is a big part of it too. Right? What's the
So,
bigger mission?
mhm. So yeah, so yeah, what I'm kind of getting from you is the group itself should be about the bigger picture, the bigger mission. Maybe it's just healthy living and or getting healthy, and the way we do that is maybe there's something in the group that shows you how to lose your like we were talking about the first 5 pounds with keto, and maybe yeah, so maybe the whole mission is healthy living through keto or macro tracking or that kind of thing. So you have the overall goal, and then you have something very specific inside the group. It sounds like you're saying
Mhm.
to attract people, right, and then get them in the door with that specific thing, and then go out from there.
Yeah, you attract them. One of the things that we've used for essentially every campaign I've ever launched, this is something it took me probably 12 months to even realize I was doing this. But this is kind of something that we've used a lot where putting workshops is what you could call them. Realistically, it's 30 to 60 to 90-minute training or resource inside of the community that does help with that specific result or help with that specific tangible outcome, or handle objections or shift beliefs or create depth in relationship through story. Right, there's a few different ways we can potentially do it depending on the space that you're in or your offers. Right, like the way that I also that's probably something I should have mentioned. So pardon my poor English. Uh, all of this will get easier if your offer is in place first. Your group, your workshops, your content. Uh, we like to start with the offer first because then we can like intentionally work backwards. Right. So I
Absolutely.
have this thing I know that I'm selling. I have my $1,000 coaching program. It's like, okay, well, what are all of the things that my audience is going to need before they're confident in making the decision to buy this? What are all the objections? What are the complaints? What are all the limiting beliefs that maybe I had, but also I hear from customers? Maybe I've had 20 customers already, and every single one of them has came in and said the exact same thing, and they're struggling with the exact same thing. Then it would be my job to turn around and then put that kind of stuff in my group. Because then if I can start removing all of those challenges, those hurdles, those problems, it's going to be a really smooth experience when they do become a customer. Because then that struggle is no longer a thing, or the objection was already potentially handled. So that's one thing we've done with pretty much, not pretty much, with every single offer we've launched is putting some type of calculated workshop. And I'll give you guys two different ways to do this if you guys want to actually try it.
Mhm.
You can either teach the what. And what I mean by this is we did a JV. I think we did like 54K in 14 days. For a long time, it was one of our biggest product launches. And we it was a really fun lesson because we taught the exact same thing that we sold. So we taught the 4 pillars to building a six-figure brand online, and it was like a 2.5 hour masterclass inside of our groups, and we covered A to Z. It was like a monster of a document, but it was more of like a what, right? What are these pillars? What is the principles behind these pillars? Like, why do you need them? Uh, what's the outcome once they're in place, et cetera, et cetera. And then we sold an 8 week case study group on the back end of it, teaching the how of the 4 steps, right? So it was like offers, content, etc., like all these different 4 things, and then the case study group was deploying those 4 things with them over the span of 8 weeks. So that's one way you teach them the what, sell them the how, sell proximity, sell step by step, or you do it in a sequence of problems or steps. So what I mean by that is like if I taking that same exact example for you guys, if I gave them the 4 steps, right? Step one, two, three, four, and I gave them everything in that, would sell step five. This is also a big problem that I see for a lot of marketers is they try to sell the exact same things that they just gave away. It's like, hey, I just showed you how to do one, two, three, and four. Everything I gave you my best and free valuable information. You don't have to buy anything from me or whatever is being taught in the space at times right now. And then they're like, hey, well, I just showed you these four things. Come pay me to learn these four things. It won't work because your audience's
Yeah,
immediate
that's
thing is like, I just got that. I don't need that.
yeah, that's definitely the wrong way to position it. If anything, you'd think they'd want to position it as a now let's do it together. I'll actually now that you know what to do, I'll
Yep.
help you build it. That seems like a much better angle to take in that kind of manner.
Yep. So that's the two ways that we've used workshops a lot.
Hmm.
You have like the two distinctions. One's not better than the other. It just depends on uh, the offer or potentially, your own teaching style or what you're more comfortable with. Uh, we've had success with both, right? The other thing that you'll have to be aware of is length or when you're making the invitation for the offer as well. It's a big mistake we made previously where ran like a 15-day challenge and try to give as much value in this 15-day challenge as possible. In a series of steps, like I was saying, where it's like, hey, we'll help you set up your group, how'd you get content in there, A to Z, everything you potentially need. And then we made an offer on day 16. But everybody was falling off around day 8 or 9. So it was like they weren't even seeing the offer, right? So then we had to, revamp it and restructure it a little bit. We ended up charging for it, which helped combat a lot of that because it was like, if it's free, like it doesn't matter if I follow through with this or not. Who cares? So we just charged like a little low ticket price for it. Like I think it was $9, and then it took the execution kind of through the roof. But that's also something to be aware of is the length of them because uh, if you're giving all this valuable information, but they don't ever get exposure to your offer, then it's going to be harder to make sales. You can also casually inject them throughout trainings or throughout your resources without pitching, without like being super aggressive. Like you can just mention that, hey, my goal here is to help you get ready for my paid coaching program. Or I'm going to help you do A, B, and C. And then that's the, teaser, and then you roll right into the trainings. Or you can casually inject it, like something that I do a lot, and a lot of my resources are things that I put in my group. Like, hey, if you want any more information on diving deep on what it would look like to install our operating system into your model, like send me a message with community, and then we could chat about it. And then I just roll right on with whatever I'm doing. Um, you can also this is kind of a sly tactic, so you can do with it what you will. You could also potentially not put the resource documents if you guys are doing any types of trainings, and then you prompt them to send you a message for the doc, and then you're just getting them into your potential sales process. And I'm not saying to be like super aggressive or anything, but just a very very easy way to open the door. Like, hey, if you want the document from this video and the workbook to help you, count your calories and lose your first 10 pounds with keto, then send me the message with the word keto and I'll send you the document from this video. And then they're openly coming into your sales process.
And if nothing else, you're going to get questions and,
Hmm.
objections that are probably going to come up later that you can handle right then.
Yep.
You mentioned something there that I'd love to touch on. You've tend to have done free groups, but you'd also
Hmm.
said that you have done some front end offers and you felt that that helped to sell things later. If do you find one that's better than another, or why don't you do more front end type offers into the group as opposed to just getting people into the group for free?
We do now. And so after launching the first offer, I launched my first offer February 1st, 2022. And I got that bug, I guess you could say, because then we spent the next, I don't know, 14 months launching new products, new products, new products. Um, so at one point, I had more groups than I could count. I had a community for our coaching clients who are paying us $1,000 a month, had a low ticket $100 group where we put all the buyers, had my free group, Flip's free group, paid group, juice group, like just so spread thin, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I remember coming into like the middle of 2023, like looking at the business like, Jesus, what am I selling? Where am I directing people? What am I pushing people to? Um, so business has never been simpler than it's been just over 12 months as of this point. So we've centralized everything into one group. So one group for free and paid. So and this is kind of a unique process to school. Uh, we've also had low ticket subscriptions on school. We did that like when we first launched. We had a low ticket sub, and then we quickly closed that down because it was like a nightmare. It was a mess. Um, yeah, but lost my train of thought. We have one group right now. So one school group for free and paid clients. We do some free or direct paid to school group as of now. Like we have a one group playbook, which kind of breaks down the model that we've kind of refined over the last 12 months, and the years of running communities and why we think that this is probably the best way to run a group long term, anyways. So we do some. We have a full self liquidating offer from that front, $44 offer, and then a series of different things that all pump them into potentially school. But a lot of my public facing content is like James was saying, just free content to free community, and then get you kind of like in front of one or multiples of offers. Because I think right now we have one main signature offer, so community conversion OS, which we launched at the end of March, and then we have four or five low ticket products. But the thing is, all of these low ticket products cover little pieces that are in the main system, right? So maybe it's marketing, maybe it's designing the outcome for your group, maybe it's uh, you know, crafting all of the things that I was just talking about, like common enemy principles or whatever it is, right? So it all covers little parts and pieces of the main business. Um, so we do it as far as like low ticket to group,
Mhm.
but most of the focus has been free community, which has its challenges too, right? You'll have the other side of it too is that most people won't talk about is you'll get a lower quality of customer or community member if it's just 100% free. That's the reality of it. Like if your community is $1 to join, the quality of those customers or people in your group is just going to be at a little bit different of a caliber. One, you already know they're comfortable with spending money, so they'll buy something else as well. Um, Yeah, so that's a good question. We do get an offer in people's hands really fast in our free group, not from a buy my thing right now, but like planting seeds around like this is the goal of the group. This is why you're here. Like we want you to be at a point where you can pay us to be a potential customer. Um, so yeah, I don't even know if I really answered your question or just rambled at you for
No,
5 minutes
no, you're good,
there.
man. No, you're good. So, so I always think in any product, and I got to imagine it's equally as true in this style of model, that getting people to do something if they bought something to consume that course to get them up to the next challenge is paramount, right? You're trying to do that as quickly as possible to get
Mhm.
them to do as much as possible to really get them as bought in as possible. What do you have you found things that specifically work in groups to really help motivate people to move them along the path and get them to consume and use your stuff so they get closer to where they can buy?
Yeah, there's a few different things we can do. We have to remember people are selfish. So it has to be about them, has to be about what they want.
Hmm.
Like they're not going to come into my group and consume the training because I want you to get to a point that I can get paid. Like they don't care about that. They want something that's in it for them. So like whether that's helping them fix a problem, whether that's incentivizing them with something extra, there's a few different ways you can potentially do it. One thing that worked really well for us, and we started doing this when we had a low ticket subscription. So we would dangle a carrot essentially for some of the most active members in our groups, and we would go and we would give them 30-day trials into our paid coaching program. And then what actually ended up happening is like literally almost every single person who ended up coming in the group getting a free 30-day trial ended up paying us for a big ticket product. And it was very easy because it wasn't sales. So if you have a bad product experience, this won't work. Just full transparency. If the customer experience is kind of subpar, this isn't going to work because what we did is we let the product do the pre-selling. We let the experience do the pre-selling. So it's like you came into our group, you got super active, And then next thing you know, you're on an onboarding call with me, and I'm writing you these plans, and then you're in this actual like high touch coaching program for 30 days. And you're like, dude, this is fucking amazing. Never been in anything like this. This is awesome. And then at the end of the 30 days, it's like, hey, do you want to keep rocking with us? And 99% of the time, they're like, yeah. And then it was like, you know, $1,000 a month, $4,800 client for 6 months, $7,500 for the year. And that's one thing that we did. But on a deeper level, if you look at it, it's about giving them something that they're gonna get by taking the action we want them to take. Right.
Yeah.
So if I want you to go through a training or a resource, what can I give you for that? How can I incentivize you to actually do that, to stroke that inner, what's in it for me? Why should I do this?
Yeah, I could see that working in two different ways. Specifically in school, I mean, it'd be super easy to you could have that kind of incentive come join the a month of the high end product for reaching a certain level. You know, they made so many comments and things like that. Or of course, then you could do it the same way. Hey, complete the program in a month and send me a screenshot of whatever the outcome was that they got from doing the thing, and we'll give you a month for free. Both of those would be super motivating to probably different types of people, but they'd be both very, very motivating. Obviously, one getting them to do getting them to use the product they bought would be significantly better as opposed to just commenting a whole lot. That might
Spamming,
attract the wrong kind of person, but yeah.
spamming gifts. Yeah. Um, There's a couple other ones you could do too, is like I come teach your audience. So if you guys have a little bit more of a experienced customer base, this is one that will work really well too. It's like, hey, if you're, let's say you hit a certain level, I'll come into your group and I'll share my own expertise on something. It's like James can come teach copywriting or do something in his wheelhouse to my audience. Or you could also do the inverse of that. Like, hey, if you're a very active member, I want to showcase you in my group, right? I want
Mhm.
you to be the expert, and I'm going to pin you, and I'm going to have you come do a workshop in front of all of my people, right? So it's like, cool. I'm going to get all this brand exposure to myself, again about self, if I'm active in James's community, right?
Yeah.
So I'm giving you something in return. Um, so there's a lot of different ways. I think we're only really limited to our own creativity. If you are, the one thing I will add, if you guys are going to do any, if anybody has a school group and you're watching this, if you are planning on giving away something that is a little bit more expensive, don't do anything below level six. Level six is the lowest that I would do any type of uh 30-day actual paid product giveaway. That's a chunky product. And the reason for that is because that's going to take a little work to get to, versus like, you know, level four, like you're going to get that, you can get that in like 2 days. And so like me telling you to go give 2 weeks access to your $99 a month software, you know, it's just going to, you're going to have a ton of people that are just going to come in and get it for free. So you want to make them work a little bit for it. So level six is probably the lowest I would be um, giving things away for, at least from a paid product standpoint. Um, the other things you can also do with school specific, since we're kind of on that topic, is like if you do any type of weekly calls, lives, replays, workshops, pop up workshops, you can also lock those behind certain levels, two, three, four, whatever they potentially are, um, to just get them, you know, active, or like you're going to get this extra really cool thing when you get to this point in the group. And then you'll have people who are chasing these goals, chasing these milestones. You can also potentially do time. This is the number one thing that most people want. Um, at least if you have any level of expertise, most people will want, you know, calls or like coaching calls, which, let's be real, 99% of the time you can pitch on them. So it's like, hey, for the most active member for the top five active members in my community this month, we're going to do a 60-minute strategy session, and I'm going to build you a personalized plan. And then it's like, cool, I give them this plan, but then it's also like at the end, hey, I'd love to like help you deploy this plan over the next 6 months. Is that something you'd be interested in? They're like, yeah, of course. And then you present your offer. Um,
And you can
but,
probably sell that recording of the of with the few people as well.
yep, 100%.
Another front end
Or
product.
like you just said too, if you're worried about leverage, then you spin it into a group model, right? So then I only do one. It's like, hey, I do one 90-minute call instead of five one-to-ones. It's like, hey, I'm
Hmm.
taking the five people and we're gonna build all 5 year plans together on this call. Um, or
Which would probably work
AI,
better. Yeah.
yeah. Or you have AI stuff too, which is also like gives you the ability to personalize deliverables.
Hmm.
Like you can personalize deliverables so fast right now. So it wouldn't really take you that much time to build something out that's super custom to the potential prospect after a certain thing that you want them to do. Uh, just trying to give you guys as many different angles. Looping back to what I was saying, is it has to be about your prospect. We have to get crystal clear in what's in it for them because that's the only reason they're going to take action on everything in your group content, in your marketing, whatever it potentially is. Like that's what they're going to do. We're all selfish, right? We're all going to do what we want, or we're going to get what we want out of it.
Love it. Cool, man. Was there anything else you want to talk about on this topic, or do you want to look at some offers?
I mean, I could ramble on groups all day. So like if you got if you got anything else you want me to talk about specifically, I'm happy to jam it on that, or we can talk
Sure.
about offers too.
Well, one thing that I like, what I find interesting about the groups, is kind of it. It can also be used as like a magazine, in that you don't have to be the only expert in it, right? So you could bring in if you're in between offers and people have seen your offer recently and they're burnt out on it, or you think they're burnt out on it, you want to wait a month or a couple months before bringing it back. You could, in theory, bring in another expert in
Hmm.
something related. If we go with that keto idea we're talking about, if the group's about keto, maybe you bring in someone on exercise or
Yep.
weight training, something like that, and run them as the expert, build them up in the group, have another reason to bring more people into the group because this expert is here, and then promote their offer and that kind of thing. It just takes a lot of the work off of the group creator too, I would think, that then you don't have to be solely responsible for it. At least for a small period of time, you would have someone else who is going to be taking the reins at least a little bit, so you don't have to be creating as much content in there.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a good way to look at it from an expert level, but also like a goal for anybody who runs a community. The goal should be to create a two-way street, right? So the communities that do really well, in my personal opinion, we want to try to cultivate this environment where your community members feel comfortable posting their own stuff in there. Now, obviously, you have to be a little careful with this because you'll have people who come in and like spam Telegram links and crypto links or whatever it is. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we want your community members and your culture and your environment, which will all come back to like, getting clear on this actual movement we're trying to build with our group, where it's not just me posting, it's not just me marketing in my content, where it's like a billboard of pitch. It's a billboard of like come in and just buy my stuff, right? Or just come in and read all my content. They can work, right? Like I'm not saying they don't. Like had a ton of success with my Facebook group, and I had group posting turned off for years, like where 99% of the content was me. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I think we want to try to look at different ways to cultivate kind of back what I was just saying, like getting your community members active. So maybe they're sharing their own unique expertise. You have potential clients who are in your group and they're sharing their own unique perspectives on lessons that you just gave them. Or what's even better than me going and recording and training about, this personalized plan I gave a community member is the community member going and doing that. Now they're talking about the lessons that they got from the thing they got from me in my offer. So now your actual audience is pre-selling your product, not you, right? So that's from a completely different like buying lens. Now they're not hearing it from your mouth; they're hearing it from someone who's bought.
Which will
Um,
always be more effective.
yep. So any way we can create that two-way street. Also, any way we can kind of like look at because I know a big thing too is like, oh well. I don't want to add more work to my plate. I don't want to add, a group because it's going to require all this bandwidth and energy. Um, which it will to some degree, but there's also other things that we can remove from business over time with a solid group in place. Uh, but yeah, like looking at other people, if you have a decent sized group, there's a lot of people who would just love to come hang out in your group. Like, oh, can you come? We had somebody with, I don't know, they have a group of like 500,000 people on Facebook, and we're like, hey, you want to come do an interview on our group? And they're like, yeah. So like, you come and share something that's, and just basically just sat there and let them talk. And they shared this valuable perspective to our group around something that I don't know much about, right? So there's all sorts of ways that you can use it to your advantage, and then it just becomes another marketing angle that you could use on the front to regrow
Yeah.
that ecosystem.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Even if you have the expert already lined up, like, okay, guys, I want to bring so and so in, but he's not going to come if unless there's so many people in this group or
Yep.
there's so much engagement or something like that. So let's, it's another
Yep.
carrot to beat people with, use as a stick.
Yep.
Funny. I like it. I like it. Well, cool, man. I got some offers here. I will share my screen and I would love to talk to you about it and see what you think of these. And we'll just kind of
Heck yeah.
jam on what's going on with them here. Let's see. Nate, nope, don't want to close Nate. Let's bring it up. There we go. All right, so there's a whole bunch of them, and like I told you before, these are just Facebook ads that I clicked on, and
Yep.
this is what you see from the ad. So yes, we're losing a little bit of context in that we didn't read the ad, we don't necessarily know, but I mean, how many people click on ads, or how many people remember the ads that they clicked on, even 5, 10 seconds after they get to the landing page? So in my opinion, I think the landing page needs to be able to stand on itself regardless. But that's just my opinion. What do you think?
I think it depends. It completely depends on the level of traffic that you're trying to, uh, the level of like the awareness level of that you're trying to target. I think that's
Sure.
going to dictate a lot of, which is something a lot of people won't talk about. Like, oh, set up an ad, launch a webinar. But is this optimized for cold traffic or lukewarm traffic? Is it retargeting? Because there's two totally different buyers' intents. I think with anything in paid media, in my personal opinion, which I'm not claiming to be a paid media expert, it has to feel very quick. Like if you look at this headline right here, launch your own webinar in 24 hours. Right? What is a very quick, immediate, satiating goal that we can help somebody get to very fast? Because a lot of low ticket buyers, it's going to be impulse buy. It's going to be impulse off of like, I bought this thing and I'm going to do the thing relatively quickly. Um, so yeah, and you'll have you like, especially with like Facebook right now, it's very creative based. It's very creative. Everybody talks about it's like the Andromeda update. It's very creative heavy. So you have to test different creatives, different potential outcomes. It's never been easier to run Facebook ads, in my opinion,
Mhm.
because I used to run an agency for chiropractic clinics in like 2020. I think 20, it might have been like 2019 or something like that. And you had the whole targeting, geo targeting, interests, and all that stuff's out the window now. It's all based off of creative, um,
Very true.
which I'm
So what do you
squirreling.
think of this
So,
landing page though? What do you like 1 to 10? What do you like? What do you not like? What would you change, if anything? What do you thought? What are
mm,
your thoughts?
I mean, you got some credibility right up top, right? That's what that bar is doing for any of you guys that don't know. Like same with the 4.99 613 reviews. So you have some credibility baked in right out of the gate. Launch your own can't speak. Launch your own webinar step by step in 24 hours. Right? I mean, it's a solid headline, especially if somebody wants to do their webinar. Then you have landing page, slide deck template, ad template, which again, those are all like templated. It probably gets pretty decent, I would imagine. It probably gets very decent opt-in rates because there's very minimal stuff happening on this page.
Right,
Um,
as one main promise, and that's like
yeah.
it. So I I've seen this ad before. So I know it's been running a while, so it must be working. But
Yep.
personally, I hate almost everything about it. And just and that doesn't mean it doesn't work. Just different buying styles or different people's interest levels. So if I was going to go through this, I like the Trust Pilot and Google stars. I wish it was clickable as opposed to an image, because I can drag it so I know it's an image, which kind of to me gives it a little bit of an ick feel. The trust indicators at the top, I am not a big fan of anymore. I feel like they do the opposite. From a payment processing standpoint, any payment processor is going to ask you to either remove those because they're just so commonly associated with scams, or they're going to ask you for proof that you were actually in these
Mhm.
publications. So I would personally at least remove that one. There's a different style of value of trust indicator that I like more, and I think it's on a different page, so we'll probably come back to it. So personally, I would remove those. I'm very up in the air about the headline. It's to me, it's kind of weird in that it's launch your own webinar step by step in 24 hours. So very clear, very direct. But it's in this weird place that it's talking to somebody who's at a level to understand that they need a webinar or
Yep.
would want a webinar, but yet newbie enough that it's just so generic. It's templates. It's do it in 24 hours, which kind of seems unrealistic to anyone with much experience. So it's this weird dichotomy of you have to be new enough to believe this, but also experienced enough to think you can even run a webinar. So to me, it's a weird combination. And maybe there is a market of people who have just been in IM, who've been in the make money space for a long time, and they have the intellectual knowledge, but don't have the experiential knowledge and want the land, but want to do it. Yeah. So to me, it's an interesting place to be. Like I said, I've seen the name before. Wojo, I think is the guy's last name or something like that. So I've seen this ad before. I've seen this landing page before. So I think it must be converting decently. I guess I just never would have been a target audience, or it wouldn't be something that I would have personally clicked on.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of really good points because it's like, uh, like when we say launch webinar, what does that mean? Like, is the webinar live or we're making sales from it? Or do you have like the landing page built in 24 hours? The promise is
True. Yeah. Are
is
we writing
the
it? Yeah.
promise is mildly vague, which might be on
Hmm.
purpose, right? It might be
Hmm.
intentional for uh, you know, it's and then there's also other things that potentially could be happening in their system. They could be pumping as much traffic through this and then retargeting based off that towards potential offer or something.
For sure.
But yeah, it is a weird one, right? Because like I launched my own webinar in 24 hours, step by step. Uh, I mean, you bring up a really good point on that because let's be real, that's not happening. Like
Right.
your
But
audience isn't even gonna know you're launching a
you
webinar in
know,
24 hours.
and I And yeah, and that's my opinion. Obviously this guy has a system to do that, so maybe it works very well. It just triggers BS indicators in my mind that I would like to see addressed. If you
Yeah.
address those, maybe there's perfectly good reasons as to how this works and that it does work. They're just not on this page. So that's why I feel like this is almost like a solo ads kind of landing page. Just nothing but a headline and a button, and just trying to get as many people in as possible as opposed to qualified people.
Yep.
So that's my opinion on that one. Do you have more thoughts, or you want to go to the next one
Oh
here?
yeah, you bring up a really good point on that too, where this is something all of you guys could potentially test. So I will try to give you, like James just mentioned, like if you look at this page, there's very minimal context. You probably capture email as fast as possible. So like he just said, like the target is probably raw volume, raw as many people as humanly possible. But with that, the quality of those leads will start to diminish. So the way that you can test both, you can do potentially both in your business, but The way that we would contrast this is we would give more context on something like this page. We would start to, craft a little bit more on this page to start curating who we actually want in that actual like list, right? So yeah, like this page is probably just as many leads as humanly possible onto this, which they probably have, back end phone system, back end, semi aggressive sales system. So it's natural with a model similar to that because that's, the goal is to get someone in the system so we can close them.
For sure.
But for a lot of smaller, smaller sized coaches, mentors, experts, um, in my opinion, it would be better to have a little bit more context on the page. So you do throttle a little bit of volume, but you do increase that quality of customer, quality of lead, right? So they're coming
Right
in
on.
with like actual expectations.
Right on. All right, let's check out the next one. Oh, it's gonna make it load all over again, huh? Okay. So this one also not a big fan of. Uh, build a gym you can step away from. I like that idea. I really don't like that the main, like the main headline, the main space where you're really gonna look first is just this little graphic of a iPad. It takes up way too much room for what it is. Again, same kind of thing. I would love to see this be more specific. Build a gym you can walk away, you can step away from. Grab a free playbook that shows you how. Learn the exact system top gym owners use. It's so generic that I don't even know who this is, but I could replace it with probably 50 different experts and it could apply to any of them for what they're teaching, right? So if it's not, in my opinion, if it's not specific enough for it to say that could only be Nate Ryan's offer, it is
Yep.
too generic. That is my feeling on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking up like what is that, 50% of above the fold with
Yeah.
a picture.
Well,
Like this section that James has on his screen is probably the most important on any landing page because like
mhm.
you'd be better off having a video, in my personal opinion, under that main headline. I think any way that you guys can start speaking through lived experience or having uh your headlines or your marketing or your potential things through teasing around lived experience. Like, so the difference between build a gym you can step away from, how I built a gym that I maintain in less than X hours per week, right? Something
That'll
that
be way
only
better.
you can
Yeah.
say, something that
Hmm.
only you have the ability to talk about, right? Through which again, a lot of the market can't do this because they don't potentially have results, or they're trying to sell, playbooks that are maybe they just created with AI or whatever it is. I don't know who. Full transparency, I have no idea who this creator is, so I'm
Yeah.
not taking shots at anybody. Um, but how can we craft pages or things that are through lived experience, right? So it's a little bit. The playbook's fine. Like we sell a $44 playbook. But I think the headline on that page is like the system behind how I turned a community into 1.1K on average for the last $1,700 or 1,700 days in a row. Totally butchered
Right.
that, but something through lived experience, something through actual what I've done and accomplished in my own business. Uh, Especially in my personal opinion, if we're running to cold traffic, say with like ads, um, we need to like work on transferring that level of trust as fast as possible. Yes, they care about the results, but they don't know who you are, right? And then they come to a potential page like this, like there's no context here. There's nothing. I don't see a picture of you yet. I don't see a video of you. I don't see um anything that's about you, right? So like you're relying purely on the clout of the product, and unless the product is like very engineered in like a extreme product market fit scenario, it's going to be hard to sell in my personal opinion because there's no personal relationship there or personal trust.
For sure. Like, and there is more copy below the fold, but there's nothing to me above the fold that would make me even stick around to scroll down to see what this is about. I love your point about that there's nobody on it. There definitely, yeah, should be a face or something. I get that people want. I get the idea of building companies that don't have a face because they're sellable, and all that kind of business strategy stuff. But yeah, it's tougher, man. Having somebody actual face on it, that personal brand just helps so much more, which anyone watching this knows.
Well, I
But
mean,
yeah,
like
so I
if
wouldn't. Mhm.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, look at when you think of Tesla, what do you think of?
Elon.
Elon Musk, right? Is a
Mhm.
good example of that. Like, obviously, I'm not saying you guys are going to be like Elon Musk or whatever, but um, there has to be that human. I mean, the one thing that I will say, and I don't mean to interrupt you, so I apologize.
You're good, man.
A lot of people like to look at business or online internet marketing as like B2B, B2C, all this stuff. The thing I'll encourage everybody in this room to look at is it's just people to people. Like that's all you're really trying to sell people on. And it's going to be infinitely harder in my experience to sell anything that doesn't have you inside of it. Like whether that's a picture, whether it's a video, whether that's a brand attached to a product. If you look at a lot of the products in the landscape right now, physical products, digital products, courses, they all have brands attached to them, right? The only reason Alex Ramosi was able to do $100 million launch this year is because he has a massive personal brand attached to this book he was writing. It's the only reason people cared is because he had this brand attached to it, not because it was this book. Like nobody gives a shit about the book. They care about all of the years of lessons and experience that he poured into this book. Right?
For sure. And most of it was stuff that's been around for 100 years
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So to your point, they're really buying him.
Yep.
All right, let's check out the next one. And I think I'll just keep it above the fold as far as what we look at because or else we just go in a rabbit hole. So
Oh,
this
just
was,
keep it.
yeah,
Yep.
this to me is more like this is a blog post title than a sales page. Do not start an online business until you've seen the stupidly simple AI method. That's a blog post to me. That is not a sales post. There is no reason for me to continue on because there's no benefit. There's no benefit to me at all in continue on. I guess I kind of dig I'm okay with the no tech skills, no existing audience, no experience required. Me again as someone who's been around for a while, that of course does trigger a BS button, but that there's no explanation. But it would certainly sound appealing to somebody new. Um, just a simple system you follow step by step, and AI does it all for you. New people certainly want that. Like I said, again, anyone experienced is going to be like, I need more. I need more information. And the rest of this copy too is kind of the same. It doesn't really say anything yet. The whole top page, in my opinion, doesn't really say anything. So, yeah, it's a rough one. I wish this person the best of luck. I hope it's going well for you, but I'm not sure that it is.
I mean, it was definitely not taking it. I mean, obviously, it's to be expected because apparently it is an AI system. You can tell the copy is written with AI.
There you
And
go.
the biggest
Yeah.
indicator is under that bold text, not because you're lazy, not because you're not smart enough. I would imagine probably somewhere
Yep.
on this page, it'll also say "you're not broken" as well somewhere, because that's AI's favorite phrase.
Yeah.
2 years ago, so I mean, like if you look at the page, they're like, we also have to be extremely aware of like, it looks like you're trying, at least on this page, they're trying to sell this to different customers, in my personal opinion. We have talk about like, just from what I saw a little bit further down, it's like, okay, you've been thinking about starting some kind of online business for years, building digital products 2 years ago. Building a digital product meant somebody who's just thinking about starting an online business doesn't give a shit about what was happening 2 years ago. They care about
That's
what's
the point.
happening right now. They care about the problem that they're potentially in right now. Um, and then we have like, how do I sell it? The stupidly simple AI method. Okay, so I feel like we're trying to hit too many different promises or pain removal problems. It like, especially if this is cold traffic ads, we have to lean into one like flip of a switch problem that we're fixing. So if it's like, hey, use this AI system to figure out what you're going to sell in your online business in the next 72 hours, as an example. Not like do step 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like we're trying to promise way too many things. Especially if for a beginner, it's going to be overwhelming and they're not going to decide on anything. It's like now you just now I'm drinking from a fire hose and there's 87 different things that I need to do. Um, and then it's like no tech skills, no audience, no existing audience, no experience, just a system you follow step by step and AI does it all for you. What does that mean? What does it do for me?
And
What
also
does
then, of
AI
course,
actually do for me?
right? And then, of course, then why doesn't everybody do this? Why is this even viable? There's a lot of questions still here. All right, let's move on because yeah, this one doesn't have anything super good to say about it. This I tried to make them a bit progressively better, or what I thought was better. The first one wasn't awful, but it we had ideas on it. So this one is a bit better. How service professionals build a lead generation system that runs without them, without tech skills, camera anxiety, or creating content every day. You'll probably have a lot to say on this one. I don't mind it. I wish they would be a bit more specific than service professionals. I'm assuming they're talking about like HVAC and plumbers and electricians and that kind of thing, but it doesn't really say that. So I would love it if they were a bit more specific there. I like the without tech skills. To me, the camera anxiety and the creating content every day are kind of the same thing. Um, if you're not creating content a lot, why would you have camera anxiety? But you could probably speak more to that than I could.
Yeah. I think for mine, I would pick one service professional,
Mm,
right? So I think that's my personal opinion. We got to try to get specific, right? So how 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 local plumbing companies can increase leads with this three-part process. Like obviously that's a very generic headline, but picking one type of service professional, um, now that's just my personal opinion on it because one, that's how you're going to build a scalable business, but that's also where you're going to be able to build repeatable systems and start building authority around I help chiropractic clinics. I just not I help service pros. Okay,
right,
what is that like? That's going to be hard to dominate. One, because then you're going to be competing against a big box media company who spends $900,000 a month on ads, and you're going to get buried, right? Um,
for sure.
without tech skills is fine, but I think it also kind of like what I was talking about on the last one too. I think we're trying to lean into too many different removals, too many like okay, and then you kind of have a complete walkthrough 3D webinar flywheel, the AI tools that build it, and the voice acted teleprompter that lets anyone deliver it like a pro. Which I get, I see what they're doing. It's like we're agitating the potential fear or the problem that they're in around camera anxiety, which is real for anybody who's never created content. Um, but let's be real. If you're not comfortable on camera and you have camera anxiety, you probably shouldn't be doing a webinar because you're
Right.
not going to deliver it good enough to get any results anyways.
3 webinars, a
Okay. So
three
yeah,
webinar
yeah.
flywheel. Yeah.
Okay.
And a
So
voice activated teleprompter. Like to me this completely I didn't even read that sub headline, but like the three webinar flywheel, AI and voice activated teleprompter, that to me sounds the exact opposite of not needing tech skills.
yep.
So that I'm already that is throwing me that's throwing up red flags for me left and right. I'm like that none of
Okay.
this sounds right.
Yeah, and I mean it's like it might just be shifting the actual the ideal avatar, right? Like in my personal opinion, because if you want someone to come into your ecosystem or your potential offer, then we need to get them some results, obviously. Um, and the reality of it is like if someone is in severe camera anxiety or they're not comfortable with creating content, creating 3 webinars is going to be a huge hurdle for you to get them over. It's going to be very difficult. Even if you have the best AI system, or it's just shifting it, then it's like now we do a faceless webinar with no face, and maybe we use AI generated audio. So then it's this webinar system that doesn't actually require you to overcome that camera anxiety or actually creating the content, so to speak. Um, but yeah, so that's the one way that I would potentially look at it is like, what is the actual, yeah, because this it sounds like it's going to contradict itself or cannibalize itself. Right.
I agree. So yeah, be a little more clear and be a little more clear on what the offer is because like I said, it's contradictory. Now I'm wondering if by service professionals they mean like freelancers, which seems a whole lot easier to say because this is a lot of online tech stuff
Yep.
for an offline offer. So that again also kind of a mismatch there. So yeah, lots of things that could be cleared up a lot on this page.
You bring up a really good point too, because like if it's a local company, like they're not going to have any confidence with any of the stuff or
No,
be
and
techy
they
at
don't need it.
all.
Yeah,
Or and the other thing, they're not going to have time. Like, hey, I
for
already run
sure.
my painting company 60 hours a week. I don't have time to go build this system,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, and if I'm working 60 hours a week without webinars, do I need a webinar at all
Hmm.
anyway? So
Yeah.
yeah, there's lots that could be clarified on that guy. All right, let's see. Let's go to a better one. This one's better. Um, yeah, let's take a look at this one. So this one is about closing sales or closing deals. It all sounds pretty good. My only confusion is I don't know if it's talking to real estate people or again like service providers, home repair type companies. I feel like it could go either way. The simple five-step sales system that I use to close 125 contracts in 50 days, which kind of makes it sound like real estate. 2,100 properties kind of makes it sound like real estate, but then again, a service provider in HVAC or someone works on properties. So yeah, I'm not totally sure which one it's for. That is my only downside to this one. I like that it's specific. I like that it's a five-step sales formula. Great. You got some proof in there that you closed 125 contracts in a specific amount of time, 50 days. Fantastic. Um, the things that you'd want, how to lock up deals effortlessly, being authentic, um, why scripts and manipulating the sellers or finance department. See, that's another reason that I don't think it's real estate is a finance department.
I feel like it's
Um,
wholesale. I think it's like it's given wholesale vibes. Wholesale real
Wholesale real
estate.
estate
Yeah.
could be.
Um,
So, and that's who you'd sell to is the finance department of some big PE firm or something like that. You're thinking, or
yeah,
other
so
kind of.
at least from what I'm picking up, it's like close home, close faster, my five step close deals. So for any of you guys that don't know what wholesale real estate is, it's basically just being a bridge, right? So I call properties, I close deals, and I pass that deal off to an investor. Um, so yeah, I like it, but at the same time, I think like just my own personal opinion is I'm a little unclear on what it is. Am I doing fixed buy, have, resell? Am I doing long-term real estate? Am I doing wholesale? Because then we have like, okay, so now I'm spending a ton of my time on the phone objecting, handling objections, closing deals. But like, what are those deals? Right? Is it closed 2,100 properties, but like, what is the overall goal for these properties? Like, again, is it
That's that's a great point. That's a great point. Like I've always heard this example with real estate or not real estate with dentists. Uh, you know, most people will come in saying that they'll help a dentist get more clients. Most dentists don't want more clients. They don't want more teeth cleaning. They want
yeah.
like 4x4 implants that are super expensive and they don't get many of them, but when they do, they are almost all profit. And from my understanding, they probably don't take a whole lot of time or, aren't resource intensive like doing 50 teeth cleanings a day. So that's a great point that they could be specific as to the exact outcome of the type of the person, the ideal person that they want. Like I said, the 4x4 dental cleanings. You call in and say, dentist, hey, do you have room for more teeth cleaning clients? Probably not. Do you have room for more dental implant clients? Yes, absolutely. That kind of thing. So that is a great spot that great pointing that out that's something that they should definitely have on there.
It could just be like a little tweak with a couple of the headlines, right? Like
Yeah,
we
it
can
wouldn't even
still
be
use
much.
the 5 step sales formula, but it's tweaking it to like the outcome or the promise that they're getting. Hey,
Mhm,
close your first wholesale deal in the next, 6 weeks using my 5 step formula,
mhm.
right? Like, would it? I think you would increase the quality of people coming in because, like, I could imagine with a page like this, you would probably have get a mixed bag of people who are coming in off of like anything real estate or anything sales for that matter. Um, which would make it either more difficult on the back depending on what they're potentially selling. Um, but yeah, because yeah, that was my immediate thought is like wholesale.
Gotcha. Very good. All right, let's do one more. I've got two up here, but we don't we've been doing this for quite a while. This one I actually kind of like. So this one I like quite a bit, I should say. This is a front end offer. It's a low ticket offer, self-liquidating offer, however you want to call it. This one was what I was talking about for the trust indicators instead of the Google Trustpilot or the as seen on kind of symbols. This one right here. It's got some pictures of assumingly real clients, tells you how many people have been through the course. I like that. I also like that it has contact ways to get a hold of them right up at the top. So as far as trust building goes, I like this significantly more these days compared to an as seen on. And the headline's pretty good. How I turned $17 buyers into 5 to 10K clients within 7 days using my AI powered rapid ascension system. He's got his unique mechanism, um, which arguably isn't that unique because it's AI, but certainly something people want. Turn low ticket clients or low ticket buyers into high ticket buyers. There's kind of the implication for burnt out coaches or creators, coaches, experts who want to scale their digital product business. Kind of the implication that at a $17 buyer price point, it's kind of implied that that might be like a break even kind of funnel situation. So you're getting buyers for free. Maybe I'm reading a little into that, but just being in this market for so long, that is something that I would think of. But
Yeah.
that could just be me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It sounds like it's probably how to build your own SLO, right? Your own self-liquidating offer.
Hmm.
Especially if it's like the only system that builds your entire offer in 60 minutes, delivers quick wins for buyers, then automatically upgrades them into high ticket without sales calls, complicated funnels, or lead magnets. I would imagine, without the complicated funnels, if we're building some type of self liquidating offer, let's be real, you will need a funnel, especially if you're running paid media. You also do need a funnel, um, which I know, I've used this a lot. Like I've literally said, without complex tech, without funnels, in a lot of my marketing, because I've used groups for a lot of stuff. Um, but yeah, I think it does hit it pretty well, right? For burnt out coaches, experts, it's kind of like who it is, who it's for. Obviously, this is going to be a thing that they're worried about. Is they're going to be worried about scale, right? How do you scale? So like this could be like helping them fix the front end part of their scalable ecosystem, and then we have how we're going to upgrade those clients into high ticket. Um, yeah, so I think it's pretty solid. It does give what's his name, Travis Stevenson vibes. I think that's his name.
Sure. Yeah, he's
Um,
got some kind of a similar offer.
very very similar offer, very similar page.
Well, this whole
All
yeah, the whole
around.
thing is kind of the Alan Sultanic AC automatic clients
Yep.
layout, that kind of thing. And but he does it very well. So as far as I'm concerned, Miles Stutz, you get an A plus here. This looks like it. I bet it does very well. I like that he's got the video there that probably talks about him, goes into the system more. Because of course I would be some of this stuff I would wonder about, but I'm sure the video and the copy under that explains it. But there's enough, this above the fold to me tells me enough, gives me enough details that I would actually want to continue going down the page to see it out, to see what the rest of it's about, which the
Yep.
rest of them haven't.
Yeah. Video looks short, which is nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Only a few days left. I mean, that's probably a little fake scarcity, which is to be expected
Yeah.
with.
Mhm.
you
Very
know.
true. Yeah, could do without that, but yes, that is just kind of par for the course. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, page looks solid. You got tons of like for any of you guys that are going to use proof of concept, anytime you can use real customer proof of concept, it's going to be to your advantage. Like on this page, you'll see a ton of actual videos with potential customers. It's going to be or like using pictures. If you can use pictures in tandem with copy, it's going to be best case scenario. Um, Kind of like we talked about earlier on this as well. Like your audience's results are going to perform infinitely better than your own, right? But then like we also have to be aware of some of like the like my funnel was live in under 6 hours. It's like okay, well the promise at the top was how to do it without a funnel. Like well, so we just have to like little I'm not even gonna try to say that word. Little incongruencies that we have to be aware of if it's super cold audience because that's something they might also pick up on, right?
yeah. I don't think it. Where does it say that they don't use a funnel? Because I think that is what he's selling is
Um,
using some kind of funnel.
Without
No
sales
sales. Oh,
calls,
complicated.
complemented funnels,
Okay,
or lead magnets.
complicated funnel. So maybe it's the complicated part that
Oh,
he
that's
doesn't
true.
consider it
The fine
complicated,
print.
right? Exactly. But yeah, I like this one. I think this is a good one and a good place to call it. Unless if you do you have any final thoughts on it? But yeah, I think it's
No,
good.
I think it's solid. Yeah,
Cool,
it's definitely
cool.
prettier than anything I've did.
Right, same here. I was always very plain copy guy here. Let me see. How do I stop the screen record? Um,
Zoom always moves their
there we
buttons, you
go.
know.
Right. I think I can just close my screen. There we go. Cool. Back to us. I will stop the recording here.